Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am the Sipping Tea, and today I'm going to show you some gameplay of the M48A5PI whilst I commentate. Briefly, however, as is tradition at this point, I just want to say thank you ever so much to my two patrons, NB Hollywood and Nagair898, for your continued support. Without that support, these videos simply wouldn't be able to be produced quite as quickly as they currently are. So again, thank you ever so much for your continued support. So with that being said, let's get into it. So here I've decided to push up towards the western flank, really just to see if I can get a few pot shots in on the enemy as they push up sort of under a bridge section at the far end of the map near the skyscraper that's in the distance there. So there we go, a few tanks in the distance. I managed to get a lucky shot in on the M46A1 just there, starting off things quite nicely. 356 damage on the board already. I can see that I'm trying to sort of shoot the T95E3 just there, but he was behind that pillar quite nicely covering himself. But yeah, I managed to sink a shot into them, which was fantastic. They scuttled off, leaving another tank at the back just there, and well, it bounced. I do a bit of a gun wobble to show that I wasn't particularly impressed at that poor display of RNG. But a Centennial decides to roll out, doing a bit of bobbing and weaving, but it didn't prevent them from being slapped, thankfully. So that's some more damage on the board, and we're just over 1,000 now. That M46A1 decided to take a shot at me, which thankfully bounced because of the fairly decent frontal armor on the PI. I'm still looking downrange at the slew of enemy tanks that are there. However, they have all blipped out of existence seemingly. But here we go. That E3 makes a reappearance. 361 damage off their tank and onto my scoreboard. Thank you very much. All donations gratefully received. I bounce another round just there, as I can see a mystery tank, at least for the moment, on the bridge, doing a bit of sniping. Oh, it's an M50 Sherman, which I managed to miss again, and a nice little gun wobble to once again show my frustration. But thankfully 393 damage then comes off, and that's a pretty generous roll for damage just there, coming up at nearly 400. 351 just there. Fantastic, fantastic. The damage is slowly creeping up for me, which is great news. But now I seem to be struggling to find someone else to shoot at. Everyone else seems to have scuttled off. It's no longer the pigeon shoot that it was. They've all got more sort of fortified positions now. So I think the time is coming for me to sort of do a bit of a reassessment of my location. This is quite a good position to have quite often, so I am reluctant to move away if I can hold position. I can see that M46A1. I try and get a lucky gear wheel shot in, which was a bit sort of well, threading a camel through the eye of a needle, and unfortunately I had no success there at all. I only tracked them, which is fair enough. It was a very slim and therefore unlikely shot to hit. The enemy light tank gets caught on fire and blips out of existence and back to their garage, and with that I think it's time for me to stop camping at the top of this highway on ramp and, well, make my way towards the friendly base, which is being capped by a mystery tank. Plenty of time left on the cap, so no real stress just here. I just decide to move back as I am easily the closest tank to the base. Can't see what is trying to cap it just yet, though no doubt they are about to blip into existence. And there we go, the FV101, the pesky little light tank. I reset the points quite nicely by throwing a shell into them, but they are doing their usual light tank trick of going around and around and around and around, which is extremely frustrating, especially for a tank such as mine, which is a little bit clunky on the handling. He manages to track me, making a very slow tank go to a stop But here we go, it's time to, yep, there we are. I return the favour regarding the tracking. Unfortunately, I am on the world's slipperiest rocks. They're all covered in oil in this game. And there we go, a teammate of mine slapped a shot into them and made them easily a one-shot for me, and I obliged, and they are out of the game, and the capping threat has been removed. The scores are currently 9-5 in our favour. I am about as far away from the action as I could possibly be, but nonetheless, at least I serve some semblance of a purpose in form of removing that light tank from the game. I decided to test out the structural integrity of that building for no apparent reason whatsoever, but it's good to see that everything was built to code, as that definitely remains standing. Scuttling on now, back onto the highway, because why not? Let's see if I can get any elevated shots just here at the remaining 4 enemy tanks, or 3 enemy tanks now. But again, I am so far out of the action, it's yeah, not looking too likely. I think this is going to be a bit of tank driving simulator right here. I've got 2,799 points of damage, which is a bit on the low side, let's be honest, but I see that same E3 from earlier up on the top of the rocks. Will I be able to sling a shot? Yet there we go. A shot goes straight into them, leaving them with just 74 points of HP left, which is fantastic. I'm going to see if I can get... I managed to crit them. How incredibly frustrating. A bit of a poor shot on my part, but also I think a touch unlucky as well. Let me see if I can finish him off, and no, I decide to just completely miss, as is my new tradition of really just not being particularly good at the game. But at least I've managed to break 3,000 damage. That's quite decent. I like to think that any game in an Era 1 where I do 3,000 damage or more is a relatively decent game. But there we are, the game is over, we are victorious. Unfortunately no podium finish for me, but never mind, I don't think I was particularly deserving of it in that game. But there we are. That is the end of the video. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.